Oh my god, you're too funny. Hey guys, what's up? Seriously hope. I'm very much hoping that this will work today. Nah, I fixed. I had a. It's so funny because okay, if anybody was here with the last night, having severe technical problems, it was essentially because I was putting the wrong settings on OBS for the computer I was using to stream. So yeah, it was a whole mess, but I mean not a whole mess, but it was acting up. So thankfully, I fixed it. Well, I found a guide on YouTube that helped me fix it. A beautiful video. You guys could check if you want the link in the second link in the description, the one all the way at the bottom, and you'll be able to go ahead and see if you're having issues with OBS. It'll be very helpful. That video. So yeah, so we're here, and we're gonna just play a little bit through a little bit of the history of women characters in video games. Kind of take a stroll down the history of women characters in video gaming. It's pretty cool. Just trying to test out a connection of something really quickly. Excuse me. And yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look. Start off with Miss Pac-Man, of course, but I'm trying to see if I can. There we go. There we go. I'm just downloading really quickly. I have this game in multiple different forms. I just wanted to honor her because I'll explain why. There's a reason I decided to get this version. And not only do I want to examine using like actual like genuine, not like trying the most to avoid emulation as much as possible for this stream, but I also wanted to I do have my reasons for wanting to support this digital version of Miss Pac-Man, and we'll get into that once we start playing the game. Also, just really quick, so I'm waiting for this to finish downloading, but I'm also going to fix. I'm gonna update the Instagram link. Hello. I'll be right back, guys. One sec while this finishes downloading. While this finishes downloading. Sorry. Okay, guys, so we're back. Thank you so much for your patience. All right, so let's begin our little trip through the icons of the ages, as I like to say, icons through the ages. This is going to be a fun little game stream through the history of women characters in video games, women representation in video games. And yes, we're starting with Miss Pac-Man. And yes, some people might think, wait, but is she human? Well, she's a Pac person. Now, I want to start with Miss Pac-Man because now she's honestly like the first real true representation, or rather, the first game in which a female character had the lead. And this was, this was her game. Her name is on the title. She's not second to anybody in this game. She's not second to Pac-Man. She's not second to anyone. And that's awesome. It's great that, and there's a bit of a long story with it. And it's an interesting story at that. So let's talk about what we play. Yay! All right. So Miss Pac-Man, 1981. I believe it's three students from MIT decide to come up with an enhancement kit for the original Pac-Man game, which came out the previous year. Not sure exactly when they started developing it. It might have been in 1980, it might have been in 81. But essentially, they decided to come up with this enhancement kit for Pac-Man. Enhancement kits were a bit of a popular thing when it came to arcades back in the day, arcade machines. A lot of people would develop these kits that would enhance like the... Oh, look, I earned a trophy. It would enhance the game, make it, add levels or, add features, etc. So they come up with the idea for this little thing that ended up being called Crazy Auto. It was an enhancement kit for Pac-Man. And, added new levels, changed the design up a little bit, made things a little bit faster. And, overall just enhanced the experience. So, long story short, they end up striking a deal with Midway. But funny thing, they didn't really necessarily get like Namco's permission to start working on this. And Namco eventually got involved. I don't know if it was Namco or Midway that did this, but they decided to eventually transform the game from Crazy Auto into what is Miss Pac-Man now. What would become Miss Pac-Man and remains Miss Pac-Man till this day. And it's funny because one of the big reasons I wanted to support this version and buy it, I mean, they've had many different versions of Miss Pac-Man over the years, but there's been issues with Miss Pac-Man's rights over the years, which is really unfortunate. So in the beginning, because of course Midway got in contact, was dealing with the MIT students before, excuse me, sorry. Before Namco directly got involved, there was a period of time. Ooh, I love that. There was a period of time in which Miss Pac-Man's kind of legal rights were up in the air, and eventually they struck a nice deal. There was a period of time in which Namco and Miss Pac-Man had a very wonderful relationship. She even got her own 3D game, which we played earlier. We played last month. And in the form of Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness, which was awesome. And she was featured in a lot of the compilations, like Namco Museum Volume 3, Namco Museum on the PS2, Xbox, GameCube generation, and a lot of different, compilations, which is really cool. Unfortunately, however, eventually there was a bit of a dispute with her legal rights again. And in most recent years especially, there was a big thing that happened. While Namco was very close to inking a new deal with, I believe it was Midway or whichever company, and then swoops in this little company named At Games. They're known for making a so-so, according to the fans, version of a Sega Genesis clone console. Or like Genesis mini console that could actually play the original cartridges, but yeah. Wasn't as well received as the official Sega Genesis Mini, which came, I believe, a year or so later. Anyway, going back to Miss Pac-Man, At Games is the company that decided to swoop in and ink a deal with Midway or whatever company it was before Namco got a chance for her licensing rights, and this really messed things up. Oh, hi, Steve-O. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you being here. This really messed things up because Namco was this close to giving new life to Miss Pac-Man again. And in comes this company, this little company, and thinks, hey, they're slick. They think they're slick because they say, hey, Miss Pac-Man is one of the most famous video game characters in history. Now we have our licensing rights, and now Namco's always is going to have to pay us the rights to use her in anything. And Namco, being feeling very betrayed and very upset, decides to say, you know what? You guys think you're smart, but you're not. We're actually just going to put in a new character in place of Miss Pac-Man in the upcoming games. And essentially forget about her, which is very sad. Breaks my heart. Because Miss Pac-Man is an integral part of, women in video games. And I know it might seem silly. I mean, that she's this little pack person. She's not really like a recognizable human. But I mean, this was a big deal. I mean, this was putting a woman in a starring role for the first time, essentially, in video games. This was her name's on the title, and she's not Mrs. Pac-Man, she's Miss Pac-Man, which allowed her to stand on her, which allowed her to, shine in her own right. Not that, hey, she's Pac-Man's wife. No, she is Miss Pac-Man. And granted, it shows their love story and everything in the cutscenes, but as we saw before with the they meet. But still, the focus was on her, and this was her story. This wasn't about Pac-Man. This was about Miss Pac-Man. And, that's a big deal. I mean, it really is considered by a lot of people to be the beginning. Even though a lot of people... Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that, Steve-O. Yes, she does represent this individuality. And she was the individual Miss Pac-Man. She wasn't, hey, Pac-Man's wife, the video game, or Mrs. Pac-Man. So, yeah, it was a big deal. And so it's sad that Namco's sort of forgetting about her. I mean, granted, At Games is the main culprit here, but... It's really sad because, she deserves to get the love and appreciation that she deserves, But yeah, so hopefully one day things will get better. I wanted to buy this version of the game in case one day it's eventually pulled from the store, being that Namco replaced her with a character. Oh yeah, I was going to mention the name. They replaced her with a character called Pac-Mom, which is bizarre. And it makes me sad because it's like, Miss Pac-Man was more than just being a mom. This is the thing that makes me sad about the fact they replaced her with a character called Pac-Mom. It's... it's... Miss Pac-Man was more than just being a mom. So that's why the name change, upsets me. And the character change. But, they put this Pac-Mom character in the remaster of the Pac-Man 20th... Pac-World game. The remaster of the Pac-World game that came out last year, which originally Miss Pac-Man was in it. Back when it came out in the PlayStation 1. And then they even replaced Miss Pac-Man's 2D sprites in the Pac-Man Museum Plus video game compilation that came out last year. It was crazy. Like, literally, she was in Pac-Land and a bunch of those games that are in the collection. This collection. And, she was... well, I'm sorry. She was in the original versions of the games that are featured in this collection, but in this collection they replaced her with that Pac-Mom, even in the old versions of the games, which is bizarre that they actually went in and edited it. It's crazy. That just shows how committed they are to this whole freaking crazy, replacing her thing. But again, At Games is the main culprit. But and then even I did want to go ahead and start with Miss Pac-Man because she was the beginning. In my opinion, the true beginning, and this was also the version. This is the essentially basically a one-to-one port of the arcade version of the game, which is the version our a very dear loved one of ours who sadly we lost recently used to play in the arcades and the laundromats and everything. I did do a dedication to stream to her earlier last month, but. I was playing a different version, not the one that she used to play, so I wanted to do this version to show the version that we used to love in common. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next game. We love you, Miss Pac-Man, and we love your beloved family member. And let's get these last few dots. There we go. On the level, and now we're gonna go on to the next game. Now this isn't gonna be like a super comprehensive walkthrough video gaming history when it comes to women representation, but we're gonna hit some key points, and I think that's really important because a lot of these characters and a lot of these games were very revolutionary, not only for their time but also in terms of their representation. All right, so let's shut down the PlayStation. Okay, I believe I should have the HDMI plugged in. Oh wait, no, it's not. Just one moment. Here's one for the PlayStation. The one for the. Oh, here it is. The one for the Switch. I got it. It's okay. I just have to plug it in. Really look like the Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil 8 because she has the same hat. And that's one thing. It's like, okay, fine, the hat and the shoes or the heels or whatever, you know, not so bad. But Miss Pac-Man was so iconic with her bow. I mean, like, come on, like that red bow and the thigh-high red boots. I mean, those are boots for kicking ass. So yeah, she was just amazing. But okay, we're gonna go on to the next game. And I wanted to go onto the Switch for it. And get onto the Nintendo channel. Let's see. And that game is, of course, Metroid. A lot of you may be familiar with Metroid, or if you're not, you're more than likely familiar with its starring heroine. And that heroine is, of course, the legendary Samus Aran. And, yeah. I mean, there's... I'm not as familiar with the lore of Metroid as many are. I mean, I played Metroid Prime on the GameCube back in the day, and it's one of my favorite games of all time. But yeah, a lot of people... Funny thing. I mean, I honestly consider Ms. Pac-Man to be the first true, you know, women lead in a video game. The first starring woman in video games. But a lot of people give that title to Samus in the sense that, and the funny thing about it is that turns out a lot of people didn't actually know that Samus, when the game came out, didn't know that Samus was actually a woman. Because since she has her iconic suit on for most of the game, you don't really know who's under the suit for, you know, the entirety of the game until you reach the end. And I mean, nowadays we know, but back in the day, there wasn't really a lot of information. I mean, the franchise was still fresh. So, basically, okay, yeah. So basically, you would find out if you completed a certain amount of the game. Oh shoot, Steve, that's crazy. You didn't know that till a few years back. I mean, I think I think a lot of people who, I think now it's like kind of common knowledge, but I think it's only been like common knowledge for the last like maybe 10 or so years in a way, because fine, Metroid Prime, you know, was in 2001, I believe, 2002, but you know, a lot of the younger you know, kids who grew up with maybe Smash Bros and everything maybe don't realize Samus is a woman until, you know, they unlock Zero Suit Samus, maybe. Because that one, Zero Suit Samus, you can see her entire like face and hair and everything in her body, and so that's when it's just obvious. But essentially, okay, so if you beat a certain amount of the game, the original Metroid, the one we're playing right now, if you beat a certain percentage of it, you unlock an ending cutscene that shows her taking her helmet off, which was great. Because it's like, wow, it was like a big twist to everybody. Like, oh my god, Samus is a woman, and that's super awesome. And, you know, in retrospective, you know, that's why a lot of people sort of credit Metroid as the real beginning, just simply because this is a human, you know, it's a human being, and it was a recognizable, like, kind of action role, in the sense of, like, it really put, you know, the game put Samus in this very heroine kind of quest of, you know, defeating these creatures and bad guys and kicking ass and having these awesome abilities and really being just a total badass action hero. And I get that, you know, I respect that, because I mean it was a big step forward for representation of women in video gaming. I mean, this was, you know, putting, you know, 1985, you know, Princess Peach, and 1986 with I think it was 1987 actually with with Zelda. I think it was 86 actually. Anyway, prior to Metroid, with the exception of like Miss Pac-Man, a lot of video games put women in the role of basically being damsel in distress. You know, Princess Peach gets kidnapped by Bowser, has to get rescued by Mario, and Princess Zelda gets kidnapped by Ganon, has to get rescued by Link. You know, so this was a real awesome and really awesome change of pace and a beautiful breath of fresh air to have. You know, to have a woman in a role where she doesn't have to be saved. You know, she's not kidnapped in some castle, and this isn't to shit at all. You know, Peach or Zelda, especially Zelda, who in more recent chapters of the Legend of Zelda franchise has taken a much more active and badass role, especially in Ocarina of Time, where she has a double identity of being Sheik and Zelda. And she kicks a lot of ass. That's pretty awesome. But in any event, going back to Metroid, you know, this was a huge step forward, and this was 1986, so this is very early on. You know, this is still video games in their infancy, so this is great. All right, well, so we're pretty much done with Metroid at this point. We're gonna go on to our next. We'll definitely probably be revisiting Samus, though. I might want to check out. I might want to put Metroid Prime, so we could take a look at that. But we're gonna go over to my computer. Well, no, I'm so sorry, I'm wrong. We're gonna go back to the NES emulator here. Yeah, so we're gonna go on. This is gonna sound kind of silly, being what I just said about Princess Peach, but I actually wanted to load up Mario Brothers 2. And yes, granted this is not the original Mario Brothers 2 from Japan, but rather the version the United States got. Which, fun fact, they took a different game from Japan called Doki Doki Panic and, you know, put Mario characters in it and changed a lot of the aspects of it and made it Mario Brothers 2 in the United States. So yeah. But the reason I wanted to do this, because, you know, being that I was just talking about Peach, is because you can play as Peach in this game, which is pretty freaking cool. I mean, I know that, you know, a lot of people probably won't put so much stock into this because, you know, fine, she's one of 4 playable characters, but at the same time, this entire game's storyline is relegated to a dream that Mario's having, so it's not technically canon. But it makes a lot of sense, though, in a way. But anyway, it was cool that they made Peach this playable character instead of being, you know, the damsel in distress that had to get saved. And you know, she has her, each character in this game has a unique set of abilities, and hers is that she's overall pretty balanced the way Mario is. You know, I believe the highest jumper is Luigi, Toad has the fastest speed, and Mario's just overall like balanced. Peach has an overall balance as well, similar to Mario, but the difference is that she has this, she can float. So, I mean, float or glide, whatever word you want to use for it. And it's a helpful thing. I used to play as her a lot when I got this game on the Game Boy Advance, when it was released as Mario Advance. Because it really is an awesome ability. And I also wanted to play this game also because of Birdo. Now, this is Birdo right here. She's a villain. Later on becomes more of like a friendly character in like Mario Kart and stuff, but she started out as a villain. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe, I'm not even sure if I'm getting the pronouns correct, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Birdo, according to some experts, is actually trans. I'm not entirely sure, but, you know, if that is true, and that's pretty freaking cool. I mean, you're talking about them putting a trans character in a video game in 1988. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, obviously it's not obvious, and also, you know, non-humanoid, but still, it's pretty awesome. So we're gonna go on from that. I just wanted to kind of touch that really quickly because I think it was pretty cool that you could play as Peach, and pretty cool they gave her own badass little kind of shining moment there. Even if it was a dream. But yeah, so we're gonna go on. Believe now we're gonna go on to the computer. I think so. Let me see something really quickly. I think. I think there's like a way, because I wanted to show some of Street Fighter. I don't really have any versions of Street Fighter on new consoles though. So I'm trying to see if there's a way to just get like Street Fighter 2 by itself, and it'll be like super cheap. Street Fighter 2. This is like the original. It says the World Warrior. That's pretty cool, but I believe there's like a champion version. Is this it? The champion version is like the best one. Hyper fighting. No, that's a different one. This is something else called Hyper Street Fighter. It's funny because there's so many Street Fighters. Anywho, it's probably better if I just head to YouTube and just show some footage. Let me do that on the computer since the next game on that is on the computer. So let's switch over. Yeah, HDMI splitters, God bless them. It just makes it so simple to just turn something on and then not have to worry about, you know, switching cables. I'll be right back. What is the power cord? It's not there. Over here. Oh, it is over here. Might actually need it over there. Sorry. Oh. I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. Here in case of the rain. Okay. Is it okay or is it too stretched? Oh, here. There. Sorry.
There's no signal.
Huh?
There's no signal.
Apple TV? Oh no, that's normal. Is I have to load whatever is gonna be transmitted to the display. Oh, my keyboard. But also... No, 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 no. Thank you. Very kind. There we go. All right. Here we are. All right, so we're gonna go on to, let's go to YouTube. Take a quick look at Chun-Li, because Chun-Li is also, I can't go on to Mortal Kombat without talking about Street Fighter first. Look at the video. Fighter 2, Chun-Li. Oh, it's like being slow. All right, here we go. And I want to talk about Chun-Li because
Got a technical background, looking to go remote and get paid more. Become a soft.
it's okay. So I want to mention Chun-Li because Street Fighter 2, you know, predates Mortal Kombat.
I'm applying for the position of information security
Or
analyst.
Street Fighter in general does predate Mortal Kombat, and you know, this was a big step forward as well because this was a fighting game, and fighting games became very popular during this era. You know, late 80s, early 90s, and literally, I believe every other character in this game is a male except for her. And she's able to hold her own with. I love that they made her this so badass that's able to hold her own with like every single one of these guys. She kicks ass. I mean, she's one of the she's definitely probably one of, if not, well, she's one of the most recognizable characters from the Street Fighter franchise to date. I mean, you got yourself Ryu, and you have, of course, Ken and all that, but you know, as say Street Fighter, and you know, people are probably gonna think Chun-Li pretty quickly. So, and she's, you know, she's persevered through the games and the ages. I mean, she's essentially one of their big time stars, and she has her like famous moves. They gave her this distinct personality, this distinct set of moves, and it was just totally badass, and I love it. I mean, she has that fast kick, the whole spin kick thing. I mean, I love they weren't afraid to they weren't afraid to put a woman in the spotlight here, you know, early on, and just have her kick ass. I mean, it was awesome. So essentially, that's basically, I think, all I could say at this moment for Street Fighter, because I did play Mortal Kombat a lot more, but I love Street Fighter. We used to play Street Fighter 2, this game, back on the Sega Genesis when we were kids, me and my siblings, so it was pretty cool. Did love playing as her, by the way. She's badass. that laugh was always so iconic. I like how they gave her that distinct personality. See, I'm the strongest woman in the world. Ah. See, and they made her. She was tough. You know, she was confident, and you know, it's just awesome. Definitely like a big landmark in representation of women in video gaming. All right, so we're gonna go on to Mortal Kombat, and essentially Mortal Kombat's early era of, let's see, Mortal Kombat's early era. And the reason specifically for this is because aside from just Street Fighter, I mean, Mortal Kombat also got its share of incredible and totally badass female leads. You know, the first and foremost, of course, being Sonya Blade. And, you know, Sonya is definitely a character that's, you know, like Chun-Li is for Street Fighter, you know, Sonya is like one of, if not the most well-known woman lead character of Mortal Kombat. And I chose the wrong guy. I was going back. And, let's just, oops. There we go. And, you know, I mean, she was a critical part of the Mortal Kombat movie in '95, and she's one of the most important characters in the franchise, and has gotten central focus in a lot of parts of the medium. And easily she's the most probably recognizable of the female characters, except with the exception of, huh? Screen's black?
Yeah.
Oh, huh. You know what? I just realized the screen is black. I'm not sure why, but let me get out of here. Maybe there was some sort of technical issue with the capture card. Huh, that was weird. Let me try it again. Apparently this is considered copyrighted material. I mean, it's a game, but I'm able to stream most other games with no problem, so that's interesting. Let me try it again. Let's see. And it looks like we were able to see the menu, so that's good. All right. So far, so good. Okay, good. All right, we have visual, not visual, but we have a connection, guys. All right, so going back to Sonya. All right, yes, so Sonya, the essential titular badass of Mortal Kombat. I mean, of course, I love my Katana, I love my Melina, I love my Sindel, who we're all gonna take a look at in a sec. But Sonya was the beginning. I mean, she was the only playable female character in the original Mortal Kombat, which we're playing right now. And similar to Chun-Li, fine. I mean, it's one female character in the game, but I mean, for the time, I mean, freaking awesome. I mean, they gave them these incredible movesets and these cool special, moves and abilities. I mean, in terms of Mortal Kombat, you know, they gave her these iconic fatalities like Kiss of Death, and all these other, you know, all these other kind of badass aspects, and like the pink rings. So yeah, Sonya was definitely a step forward. I mean, this is 1992, so this is a little while after, a short while after Street Fighter 2, and 1, which I believe Street Fighter 1 was in the late 80s, I think 89, and I think Street Fighter 2 was in 91. But essentially, okay. So essentially, yeah, but Sonya was always one of my favorites, and the first time I ever heard that name in my life too, it was in the video game, so it was funny. I thought it was just a name they made up for the video game, and it turns out it's a real person's name. I mean, it can be a person's real name. But okay. Alright, Sonya, I let you down. No, I kid. I'm gonna leave her with a victory. Alright, so let's see. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, Mortal Kombat is one of my favorite franchises in video gaming history. I mean, we used to play, me and my siblings would play the Mortal Kombat 3 on the Sega Genesis when they ported it to the console. And, it's just so much fun. I used to get scared of the fatalities though, because I was really little. but nah, as I got used to it as I got older. Let's see if I can do some of her special moves. Let's see, ring toss, lower punch, left, lower punch. Okay. And leg grab, square, wave punch. Interesting. Okay. Nice. There you go. That's one of her iconic. Let's see if we could do her fatality as well. What I liked about this collection is it would show you how to do. It would show you how to do their moves, which was awesome. Left, left, block. Are you blocked? Is it? Yeah. Dang it. It's alright. Maybe we could do her fatality in a different game. So let's go on to. I'm gonna skip to Mortal Kombat 3, essentially because Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, because I believe this has like the most characters. So we could just take a look at both like Katana and Melina, as well as Sindel. I think Melina might not be in this one actually. No, she's not. But at least Jade is. Okay, so we'll take a look at this. Jade. We'll start with Katana. She's one of my personal favorites. I chose Novice, but I mean, even on Novice, the difficulty is pretty ridiculous once you get towards the end. Katana, I mean, Sonya, you know, is one of my favorites, of course, but I love Katana. I have a sweet spot in my heart for Katana because I love the fan. I love her whole look. I love I love her total badassery using knife fans. I mean, that's so freaking awesome. And they made her totally. I loved how they let her have like total badass fighting scenes in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Granted, it is considered one of the worst movies of all time, but still, it was cool that they let her use the fans. That was awesome. Oh, yeah, I'm not doing her any justice right now, but yeah, and you know. And it was cool because they gave these characters, I failed to mention this earlier with Sonya, but they gave these characters these awesome like backstories and, you know, kind of background information. Those are the fans. I want to see if I can activate the move. Fan throw, right, high punch, low punch, fan lift, right, high punch. I mean, how badass is that? I mean, I love how freaking awesome they made these characters. You know, Katana in particular has this really interesting backstory as where her mother was murdered or driven, I believe, it's driven to suicide or killed by Shao Kahn. And she wants vengeance, but she's stuck as this like stepdaughter, or at least that's like the storyline in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I wonder if it's the same in the game. I have to double check, but let's see. Fatality 2, left, down, right, high kick. Ah, that's my bad. We'll try one with Jade. So yeah, Katana, awesome, iconic, I love her. I think her and Sindel are like my favorites, which is funny because Sindel's her mother. Well, Sindel is like her mother's body, but I believe like a demonic force took it over because she was resurrected by Shao Kahn, and as a result, Alright, let's click Jade. Jade, another total badass. She has her iconic staff as her main weapon. She has this power, I used to call it purple power, essentially, because... And I also love that, I also love that Mortal Kombat had this sort of sense of diversity also. I mean, you know, maybe not as much, you know, as you see nowadays, but, you know, they have women that, you know, these women that look different. You know, you have Sindel's an older woman, you have Kitana, and Kitana, who's this princess who decides to, you know, has this effeminate look about her, but also this is also a badass that can hold her own with all the villains of all kinds. And you have Jade, a woman who's a woman of color, you know, and Katana is as well, my apologies, but, you know, who are, you know, part of this diverse cast. And you have, of course, Sonya, who's this, you know, badass armed forces operative, and, you know, just, I love it. I mean, Mortal Kombat is forever one of my all-time favorites as a series, and Mortal Kombat 3 especially is my favorite of the original 3. Perhaps 2 sometimes is my favorite, but I love 3 most of the time is my favorite. Alright, let's see if I can actually do the fatality. Let's see, high punch is that, 1-1 down. Okay. Yeah. We'll try fatality some other time. Well, we'll try. Let's finish with Sindel. Alright, so Sindel. Sindel was like my favorite for a while, because I thought, I mean, even though she's like evil and whatnot, I mean, just freaking totally total badass. And the moves with the hair. Not so much a whip, but it's like a hair whip or hair like fly. It's not a hair whip, it's like sentient hair essentially, like magical hair. So I'm not entirely sure if she stays Sindel forever, or if she's eventually, her mother's soul is freed, and Katana's mother's soul is freed, and she's able to, you know, go back to being like the regular mother, or how that works. But yeah, and she has some freaking badass moves. She has the fireball, which we tried. She has the scream, and the levitate, and a bunch of others. Yeah, her scream is like her iconic feature. They used it in the movie as well, in Annihilation, in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the movie. right, let's see. Oh, yeah, Scorpion's, of course, freaking challenging opponent as he is. Damn it. But, round 3. Nice. Let's see if I can do the fatality. If not, it's all good. Though I'm going to... Let's see, what's high punch though? This? You know what, yeah, forget. Let me try with Nightwolf and then we'll go on to the next game. But yeah, basically the overall gist of it is that Mortal Kombat for me is, I think is, even though, you know, Street Fighter had predates it with including female character, but in the fighting game, it really took things to the next level, especially kind of introducing this diversity to the cast in its own little ways. I mean, fine, it's, if you call it, it seems silly to call it diversity in today's kind of understanding of the word diversity, but I mean, hey, I mean, it was, they had more than one female character, which was great, and at the same time, they, you know, the different looks, you know, different abilities, different kind of backgrounds. All right, let's see. Let me try the animality. Right, up, high punch. Right, up, high punch. Alright. Indulge the Jade. Anyway, for the sake of brevity, I'm gonna go ahead and just go on to the next game. So yeah, we're kind of now in the era of the 90s. With Mortal Kombat, we officially entered. Well, we officially entered it with Street Fighter 2, but Mortal Kombat really puts us in the heart of the 90s now. And the 90s was a big era for representation of women in video gaming because, as you'll see, we're gonna get some very important figures that start to pop up. And for me, one of the most important, even though she came out right before. Thank you, Steve-O. Yeah, I know, it's awesome. I mean, the 90s really was the era that changed a lot for video gaming in general, but especially for the representation of women in video gaming, in my opinion. Now, this is the director's cut, because that's the version I had for the PS1. This is actually the actual digital copy of the digital ISO that I converted from the physical CD. A couple months back, I did it for all my PS1 games and my PS2 games, and so it's pretty cool. But yeah, so we're looking at Resident Evil. This is, of course, one of the most iconic and revolutionary games in gaming. Essentially, it wasn't the first survival horror game ever made, because, of course, Alone in the Dark essentially kind of created what we know as survival horror now. I mean, it was like the first real true survival horror game, but Resident Evil essentially created and revolutionized what we know as survival horror. It revolutionized and basically set the rules and standards for what survival horror was going to be, and it was cool. It really changed. It changed things, and I'm going to start. And that's actually my saved as well. I was able to convert the memory cards using this tool, and put it onto the emulators on the PC. So it's really cool.
What is this? Wow, what a mansion!
Hold on, let me start that over, because I'm gonna start it from like a fresh save. I forgot that she's not. She looks different. Jill Valentine has a different look on the arrange mode of the game. And wanted to start with Resident Evil 1. I was gonna skip to 3 in two more, not two more, but in a game or two, because I was like, you know what, that's where Jill Valentine really gets her chance to be the main star. I mean, she is the main star here along with Chris Redfield, but she in Resident Evil 3, she is the star completely. So that was great. All right, July 1998. So I think we're gonna skip the
Alpha
intro
team is
scene.
flying around the forest zone situated in northwest Raccoon
Actually,
City.
no, because
where
you
we're
get to see
searching for
her
the
in this.
helicopter of our
So
compatriots
let's
Bravo team,
hold off
who
and
disappeared
just watch
during
the
middle
intro.
of our mission. No, I haven't found it yet. Bizarre murder cases have recently occurred in Raccoon City. There are outlandish reports of families being attacked by a group of about 10 people. Victims were apparently eaten. Bravo team went to the hideout of the group and disappeared.
Look, Chris!
So yeah, the game allowed you to play as either Jill or Chris, and you know, granted, it didn't have you play only as the female character, but it was they each have their unique
was
stories,
Bravo
and
team's
to
helicopter.
really get the whole
Nobody
story,
was
you
in
did
it.
have to play as both.
But
And
strangely, most
so
of
it
the
was
equipment was
extremely
stolen.
recommended so that you should play Jill
However, we soon discovered why.
at some point, even if you chose to play Chris first. And she ended up becoming a freaking icon. I mean, my God, she is the first of the female heroines in Resident Evil history, and there's a long line of them. I mean, Claire Redfield, Ada Wong, Rebecca Chambers, who's actually in this game too, but she's relegated to cutscenes. You know, Jill is forever an icon. I mean, even though she hasn't been in a lot of the newer games, she's still a very important part of the lore, and she's been a significant part of the overall storyline and timeline. And so yeah, this is the interesting. This is the iconic intro cutscene where the STARS members looking for the Bravo team, the Alpha team, looking for the Bravo team. Find themselves in this perilous situation, being chased down by the mutant zombie dogs, and have to run for the iconic mansion. A mansion that changed gaming forever. where modern survival horror was essentially perfected, and the standards were set for all time for modern survival horror.
Chris Redfield.
Alright, so I want to show this intro because it's so like kind of old school and I love it, but there you go. There she is, the icon herself. Fucking badass.
Barry Burton.
Barry Burton. I'm telling you, David, I forgot his full name, but Rebecca Chambers. She's iconic in her own right as well. She ends up getting her own prequel game, Resident Evil 0, during the GameCube era. Resident Evil in of itself is also, from the beginning, I mean, the women were extremely significant in Resident Evil. I mean, and they've owned the franchise at many moments. In fact, they're some of the most recognizable characters, if not the most recognizable characters in the game's history.
What a
I
mansion.
mean, of course, there are some incredibly recognizable men as well, like Wesker and Chris and Leon especially.
What is it?
Maybe it's Chris. Now, Jill, can you go?
I'm going with you. Chris is our old partner, you know.
Okay, let me handle this. Stay alert!
A dining room.
Okay, guys, sorry for the wait. So we're back. So yeah, Jill. There's so much I could say about Jill, and I'll say more about her when we get to Resident Evil 3. But she was the first. I mean, she was the first in a long line of amazing badass women that ended up owning many moments, if not almost the whole Resident Evil franchise. Equally, if not even more so than their male counterparts and moments throughout the franchise.
Hope this is not Chris's blood.
So yeah, so let's go ahead and let's take a quick look at RE1. I mean, this is the intro where Jill goes to the dining room with Barry. Oh, hey, Ven. I'm so sorry I didn't see that you wrote until now. Thank you so much for being here. It's so sweet. This is the infamous first zombie encounter that changed video games forever. Scared the heck out of me when I first played this. I remember I was like, whoa. I had played Resident Evil 3 before 1, but still, that first zombie reveal was just so chilling, even today.
Barry?
What is it?
Watch out! It's a monster!
Let me take care of this.
Kind of spooky with the lightning and the thunder.
What is it?
Kenneth was killed too. Maybe by this creature. Anyway, let's report this to Wesker.
And so they go to report to Wesker, not realizing that he is actually in on it.
Wesker! Help me look for him, Jill. And don't leave this hall for the time being. Find anything, Jill?
Nothing. What is this all about? I can't figure it out at all.
Beats me, too.
Now it's Wesker's time to disappear. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it can't be helped. Let's search for him separately. I'll check the dining room again.
Okay, I'll try the door on the
It's-
opposite side.
And of course they split up. Classic horror movie trope.
We could get into trouble if we get
But
lost. We should start from the first floor, okay?
But yeah, I mean,
And Jill,
they,
here's a lockpick.
this is one of the crucial
might be
parts of her
handy if you,
personality
the master of
and
unlocking,
characterization.
take it with
Master of
you.
unlocking. She's an expert lockpick.
Thanks. Maybe I'll need it.
She's an expert picker of
Listen,
locks. I mean, it sounds
if
weird when you
something
say it like that,
happens,
but yeah.
Let's meet up in this hall. This time I'll be there.
Alright, so yeah, basically, that's the gist of Resident Evil 1. You know, just a couple of things I more want to say about Jill. I mean, this game sets her up as the titular heroine of the franchise, and we'll see more of that in Resident Evil 3, but she's a freaking badass. I mean, she's incredibly resourceful. She's an expert picker of locks. She's been through some stuff, so she's a hardened special ops person, and she's incredible. I mean, she's an icon for the ages, no doubt. So let's go on to the next game. We're gonna go on to one of, if not one of, the most important games, not only in gaming history, but also in the pop culture landscape, and that's Tomb Raider. Oops, wait, I chose the DOS version. Let me go back to I want to use the actual PS1 version that I played when I was a kid. I have a digital copy, I guess you could say, or I made an ISO out of the original disc that I had from the PS1. Oh man, there is so much to be said about this game and about its titular heroine, Lara Croft. I mean, changed everything. I mean, fine, I know. I mean, Miss Pac-Man did it first. Metroid, Samus, refined it further. Jill came right before. Jill came into the landscape right before. I forgot to mention Chun-Li, and then the Mortal Kombat female heroines like Sonya Blade and Kitana, Melina, Jade, and then you have, of course, the villain in the form of Sindel, and then the heroine like Sonya Blade. But then you had Jill, who came right before Lara Croft in the cultural landscape, if I'm not mistaken. But oh man, the world was taken by storm when Tomb Raider came on the scene, and there is no doubt that this is probably the singular most significant video game, and of one of the most significant moments in pop culture in general, and in women representation in general in media. So it's the singular most important moment in it's the singular most important game in terms of women representation in the modern video game landscape. And one of the most pivotal moments of women representation in pop culture and media in general. I mean, yeah, there's a lot to be said. This was like the first game that really... This was the first game in the modern era that really puts you in the role of a titular female heroine badass, and she was the only playable character, as opposed to Resident Evil, where you can choose the male or female character. In Tomb Raider, you play as the female character, and just this very distinct badass personality that Toby Gard, her creator, made sure was on point. And she's... Oh man, there's so much to be said. She's fiercely intelligent. She's unbelievably resourceful. Yeah, she is incredibly wealthy. I mean, in the sense that she comes from royal lineage, essentially. Her father was a lord, and she was considered Lady Croft for a long time. Grew up in a very posh kind of British society. And then one day her life changed when she was taking a plane through the Himalayas, and the plane crashed, and she was the only survivor. She was forced to survive in the wilderness for some time, and eventually found her way back to civilization and/or was rescued. I forget what exactly the case was, but after that her life changed. She didn't want to be part of this stiff, posh, society anymore that she grew up in. She wanted a life of adventure, and she wanted to have a life that was more her own rather than dictated by the strict rules of royal society and posh society, and said, you know what, I'm going to break away from that. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to write about my adventures and just be a total freaking badass. I mean, she probably didn't say that, but I mean, she inevitably became a total badass. I mean, her Lara Croft's look and personality are so iconic in pop culture. It's gone through, her persona and her qualities have gone through changes. I don't want to say qualities, sorry. Her personality and her character essentially has gone through some drastic changes over the years. Although there are certain tenets that remain the same even as she changes. Her original characterization, very much defined by these distinctive features. She's very superhero-ish, has this incredible acrobatic sense of of fighting, and she has her titular dual pistols, which are hands down, and this I think cannot be denied. Dual pistols in pop culture, in the sense of being used in movies or being used in video games and stuff, became so incredibly popular after Lara Croft defined that style and made them incredibly iconic and popular for all time. I mean, dual pistols in Lara Croft dual pistols was one of her defining features, and she made that popular for all time. so many games after that had their female characters using dual pistols, or dual pistols would appear in some sense. And she was truly, she made that super famous. They made that super famous, the team that made Tomb Raider. Okay, so skipping ahead, her first iteration, you know, was very kind of superhero, super person, incredibly ridiculously acrobatic, didn't ever get tired, basically, very much superhero, fiercely intelligent, and undoubtedly a total badass. She's invented badassery for women in action video game roles, essentially. There is no denying it. And one of the I don't want to say hallmarks, but one of the also most notable things about her original iteration was that, yes, there was a sense of sexuality about her appearance. I mean, she was always put in these outfits that were very tight and form-fitting. She was given an incredibly large bust. And, you know, this original iteration of Lara Croft, you know, faced criticism over the years as time went on, because a lot of people said she was promoting unrealistic body styles, and, you know, fine, it's awesome that they made her a badass and everything, but her sexuality essentially got put to the forefront. And, you know, this was a very important topic in terms of women representation in video gaming, because, fine, it's a huge step forward. I mean, we're showing women being these badass superheroes, essentially, that can kick ass, and, you know, it's in video gaming. And in the pop culture landscape, this was significant too, as I mentioned. But, you know, a lot of critics saw that, you know, she was being very hypersexualized for a time. I mean, you know, the first Tomb Raider, you know, there was a little bit of that, but, you know, with Tomb Raider 2 and all the subsequent sequels, a lot of her marketing became very, very sexual, and very, very much about putting her in outfits that, you know, became very much about putting her in outfits that were very tight, and she was wet, and in positions where she was laying down and everything. And this really kind of broke the heart of her creator, Toby Gard, because he never wanted her to be this, you know, he wanted her to be a character that was confident in her sexuality and wasn't afraid to show it, or her sexual characteristics, or was confident in her body, that she didn't feel the need to, you know, she was confident enough to say, hey, this is my body, I'm not ashamed of it, and, you know, but, I mean, that's more of like a modern interpretation of it, but, you know, Toby Gard never intended for her to be this over-sexualized symbol to the point that she was. I mean, my goodness. If you looked at magazine pictures and all these, you know, different, you know, marketing, you know, pictures and videos of her and everything, and the games marketing sometimes. Actually, it was largely the games marketing. She was very hypersexualized, and, you know, thankfully as time went on, I mean, she wasn't as hypersexualized anymore. I mean, she, you know, there's always a part of Lara Croft in her iterations that's gonna come off as sexy in, you know, people's eyes. But, you know, her original iteration, you know, was the height of this controversy, because, you know, a lot of people thought that she was essentially being built to serve the male gaze. And, you know, being built to, fine, she's cool, she's a badass, but, and she's an independent woman who, you know, is a fierce warrior and adventurer, but, you know, she's, you know, a lot of attention is being drawn to, you know, her body and her sexuality, sometimes maybe even more so than her abilities. And so that became a big problem for Toby Gard, and so he didn't really work on the series for quite some time until Tomb Raider Legend, which came much later, and, you know, that changed things. You know, that was when she was rebooted in her image, and she was still a bit sexy. I mean, she was still very sexy and everything, but, you know, for lack of a better term. But, you know, it wasn't so obsessively marketed, and it wasn't so focused and obsessively focused the way it was during her original iteration, which was the classic series from Tomb Raiders 1 all the way to Angel of Darkness, which was from 96 to 2003, essentially. Because in 2006 is when Tomb Raider Legend came out, and, you know, that's when things were changed a bit. Even when Angel of Darkness came out though in 2003, like it was a little bit, there was less focus on her sexuality in the marketing and and in the gameplay. It's not so much in the gameplay, because in the games themselves, fine. There's moments where they make there's like a joke or two here and there in the classic series, but in the games, respectfully, she wasn't so hypersexualized, or like there wasn't so much focus on people like hitting on her, etc. in the video game itself. It was more about her abilities and her, the mystery of her adventure and her total badassery and her fierce intelligence, that too. Now, Tomb Raider Legend, though, the marketing thankfully didn't get as over-sexualized, etc. and things, were changed for the better. Of course. I know that a lot of people debate on that, but and then of course she got rebooted again in 2013, where it became more of a gritty, realistic survivor story, and a lot of people have issues with that iteration because they think it got a little too intense, and they etc. But they became too focused on the crazy grittiness and over violence, the incredulous amount of violence that ended up yeah. But anyway, that's essentially. There's so much more. I would be here forever if I were to tell you like everything about essentially Tomb Raider and Lara Croft, because she was the single most significant moment of women in video games, of women representation in video games, and she's from that moment on, she set the standard in the sense of. Everybody wanted to talk in a total badass, tough-talking female character in their video games who could really hold her own against everybody and everything. So yeah, she was the big true step forward in the modern landscape of women representation in video gaming. So we're gonna go on to the next game, because as I mentioned, I would be here for a very long time. If I talked about Tomb Raider for going forward. But yeah, I'm going to go on to Resident Evil 3. Now, Resident Evil 3, we already spoke about Jill, but I did want to give this particular game a moment. A moment to really shine, because Resident Evil 3 is very important for this franchise, but also in terms of giving the character of Jill Valentine her defining moment in the franchise. I mean, this was her true starring moment. And it's a significant chapter in the Resident Evil franchise. It's fiercely important.
This is Chopper Delta, preparing to drop off at air.
Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. Her monologue is very important. Yeah, let me go back, because the intro is very important. It really gives you really gives you insight into her character, and how determined she really was as a character, and how deeply she felt about her mission. And
an ordinary day in Raccoon City, a city controlled.
And this is
by
the
a brother.
defining voice acting, I think, of Jill Valentine, because this was her, I guess, like I said, her shining moment.
Them. And that lack of strength would ultimately lead to their destruction. I suppose they had to suffer the consequences of their actions, but there would be no forgiveness. If only they had had the courage to fight. It's true that once the wheels of justice begin to turn, nothing can stop them. Nothing. It was Raccoon City's last chance, and my last chance. My last escape.
Oh man, such an amazing and powerful intro.
This is Chopper Delta.
You know, this is already after she went through that incredibly traumatic experience of the mansion incident in the first game, got out barely got out with her life. And you know, now knows the true evil that is Umbrella and what they really did. Getting a little bit of a slowdown on the game here, but it's all right. And she, comes back with the STARS members who survived, and they report everything to the authorities and everything, and Umbrella manages to cover it up. And so now the city's in chaos as the virus has spread to the city, and she's trying to escape and, find a form of justice and taking down Umbrella with Chris Redfield, who she meets up with at a later time when she escapes the city. But this is one of the most significant chapters in the Resident Evil timeline because
September 28th, daylight. The monsters have overtaken the city. Somehow, I'm still alive.
So, yeah, she's been hardened more by her experiences in the mansion, and now she's so determined in her mission because she's seen their evil, and she's determined to take them down and get out of this city with her life.
How dare you tell me to go back outside?
I'm sorry about your daughter, but there isn't gonna be any rescue. We have to get out of here.
No! I'm not going anywhere. I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters. Now leave me alone!
Yeah, I remember that was such an interesting scene in the beginning. It's like this guy Dario just
Told you. I'm not leaving. Never.
Yeah. Hello. Let's see. Hold on one second. So yeah, this was the defining moment in her character story. I mean, this was her. She waited behind in Raccoon City a little bit. Chris Redfield went ahead to Europe and to try to go to the Umbrella headquarters, and she was holding back. She was staying behind in order to try to see what she could do on the city's level and see what she could find out. But she did plan an escape, and then the outbreak, started to hit as she was planning her escape, and she decided, you know what, this is it. She decided one day that she had to leave, and she was gonna escape the city with her life, and hopefully find justice. But yeah, this is her ultimate badass moment. I mean, she faces off against this terrifying biomutant that was made by Umbrella to essentially eliminate every STARS member, the survivors of the mansion incident in the first game, in order to basically eliminate any witnesses to Umbrella's, any first-hand witnesses to Umbrella's horrific experiments. Because, if they survive, and they would be the titular witnesses that would the world would essentially look to. Being that they see this city get destroyed, the public sees the city get destroyed, and then these survivors are going to be like, hey, this was all Umbrella, and they have this proof, they have first-hand eyewitness accounts, and because of what they saw in the mansion, and that's why the Nemesis was created, in order to eliminate them and rid the witnesses. Rid the world of the witnesses of the incident. And my goodness, this is her most badass showing in the entire franchise. I mean, she goes up against this guy, this biomutant, so many times. I mean, he's essentially, since I played Resident Evil 3 before I had ever seen any of the Terminator movies, he is essentially the Terminator. He's a biomutant who is very much the Terminator in this franchise. He does not die. I mean, he keeps getting up over and over again, and she emerges victorious time and time again, going up against him. I mean, she does get infected at one point in which her colleague Carlos gets a vaccine from the hospital for her and saves her life, but, you know, she overcomes and wins against this horrific biomutant at the end and escapes the city with her life, and is able to live on and seek out the justice that she so desires and justly deserves. So a big bargain sale, it's like a funny thing to so it's like, oh yeah, big bargain sale, and exclamation points, like meanwhile the whole city's falling apart. But okay, so yes, this is, and you know, to talk about Jill really quickly in this game, I mean, she's fiercely, she's so incredibly strong, overcoming this biomutant over and over again, but she's also incredibly smart, fiercely intelligent, and just perseveres through it all and makes it at the end, which is incredible. And yes, granted, they did change her outfit for the remake in the sense that they gave her a tank top and jeans instead of her mini skirt and tube top, blue tube top, which this look became probably Jill's most iconic look for a very long time. It was the look that they used in Resident Evil Apocalypse, which is the movie adaptation essentially of this game, but included some elements of some of the other games and largely was its own story.
Why?
So, but yes, this outfit is iconic. Granted, you know, in some retrospective observations, they do think it was a little similar to Lara Croft. It was a little bit over-sexualized in some ways. I mean, a lot of focus is put on her bust, and you know, her legs are very kind of sexually looking, and that sounds kind of silly when I said it like that, but basically, like, her body's a little bit more kind of like on display here, more so than it was in Resident Evil 1. So granted, yes, maybe there was a bit of a sexual kind of focus put on her character, body focus rather, but you know, it doesn't take away from the amazing badass heroine that she is. You know, and in, you know, subsequent iterations of her character, they've, you know, of course, changed her appearance a bit to be a little bit less sexualized. Like in Resident Evil 3 Remake, like I mentioned, she has the tank top instead of the tube top, and she has jeans instead of the mini skirt. So, you know, that's cool. It still looks a lot like her iconic look though, the blue and everything. So I have no complaints about that appearance change. But there is also an alternate costume you can unlock in the Resident Evil 3 Remake that gives her the mini skirt and tube top. So that's cool. But that's basically the most of what we could say for Jill Valentine right now. I mean, she's forever an icon. And she's the original #1 Resident Evil badass for all time. Female badass, but yes. Alright, so we're essentially into the mid-late 90s, and we're going to skip ahead to Silent Hill 3. Now we're looking now at the wait, actually, sorry, I have to do it on the PS3. It is unfortunately the HD remaster, which a lot of people say is awful, and it's at moments it very much is. But I mean, it's not so bad if you're a newcomer coming into it, I guess. But it's not the best way to play those games, of course. 1 second while I load the disc. Okay. Thank you. There's a reason why I want to skip to. Oh, sorry. Who's this one? Oh no, I was talking to the camera. Sorry. Even though I have to. Okay, so I went ahead and. Oh, why does it? It's okay. Okay, just really quick, I have to adjust something in my settings on the PS3. I didn't realize that, similar to the PS5 and a lot of Sony consoles, it seems to do this. you have to turn off this setting called HDCP, which prevents me from showing like the game's footage, which is interesting. Some language, display, what's new, no. Control for HDMI, no. Okay, I have to see how to turn off HDCP on the PS3 because I am not sure. Those you're streaming, I can imagine. We'll watch beginning tomorrow. Me loves Resident Evil games, movies, great selection. Hope you're all staying safe in this weather. Oh, thank you so much, Taina. I appreciate that so much. I'm so sorry I didn't see your message until now, but I appreciate you saying all that. Yes, we're going to stay as safe as we can in this storm. It's a little bit crazy in Jersey and New York with the storm right now, and hope everybody's staying safe. Please stay indoors if you can, and just be safe. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look here. Let's just let's turn off the HDCP. Let's see. Years ago, someone recommended about use it many times. Are any issues? Oh, I guess for some reason you can't capture HDCP on PS3. I mean, you can't get around it, which is not good. Might just have to skip this game then. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to skip Silent Hill 3. Silent Hill 3. No worries. Let's go on to our next game. I wanted to mention. I'll probably look up some footage on YouTube on my PC. I wanted to mention Silent Hill 3 because while there was 2 Silent Hill games before Silent Hill 3 puts you in the character of Heather Mason, the daughter of the hero from the first, the daughter of the protagonist from the first game, and granted it's his second daughter. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Granted, it's the second daughter that he had, because his first daughter, Cheryl, I forget exactly what happens. She didn't exist anymore or something, and then now he ended up having, he was given Heather Mason at the end. He was given Heather at the end of the first game, and then he raised her, and then she's a teenager, and she's ends up being confronted by this horrific the horrificness of Silent Hill and the mysterious circumstances of her birth, and has to defeat the evil once and for all. That's just me giving you like a pretty kind of guess of what it is because I haven't beat Silent Hill 3. The story is way more. The story in Silent Hill is very rich and complex, so it's much more than that. Basically, I'm gonna try to. Let's just look it up. Silent Hill 3 playthrough PC. In a way, this is good because this shows us the original voice casts. For the remaster on PS3, they had to change the voice cast. Oh wait, sorry. That's the Resident Evil 7 house, I think. Oops.
Morning, Janice. Morning.
So, okay, Heather Mason has this. She is in this very strange place, but it turns out she's actually having a dream. Spoiler alert. But this is footage, by the way, from SHN Survival Horror Network. Just using it for this video to give a little footage on Heather Mason. I hope that everybody can see what I'm showing.
Where am I?
I don't know if... I'm not too sure what's going on here. With the footage, I don't know if it's saying like copyrighted or something. This is very strange. Hold on. Let me remove... You get out of the YouTube video really quickly. Maybe it's not letting me show that. Maybe for some reason I'm having an issue with the splitter. But I'm gonna try to double check. Sorry, just bear with me, guys. Is my mic muted? No, mic is on. Okay. Yeah, that's very weird. Okay, let me just unplug and then replug the splitter to see if that changes anything. Oh, it isn't gonna rain for that long? That's good, Steve-o. That's good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Hopefully this fixes it. Yes, okay, alright. I think maybe when the PS3 activated the HDCP warning, it kind of messed with the splitter for a second. Okay, so this is the intro to Silent Hill 3, and very disturbing. But so basically, Heather Mason is in this dream. She doesn't realize it's a dream though, where she's in this very strange place that looks like what they call the other world in Silent Hill. Very disturbing place that is defined by this weird rusted look all over the place. And yeah, it's not pleasant. So she's kind of confused as to what's going on, and you know, it's like, how do I get out of here? Wanted to show Heather though, because I believe she's also, I mean, the first 3 games in the Silent Hill series made by Team Silent are like some of the most iconic games in history, and Heather Mason is like, I think the climax of this era, and her game, Silent Hill 3 and Heather Mason is the climax of this brilliance of the era, because, you know, she is this young teenage girl who gets thrust into this situation and just perseveres through it. I mean, she's confused and freaked out in the beginning, of course, like anybody would be, and you know, she manages to get through it and just really perseveres, and it's incredible. I mean, and she's tough. She's a tough girl. I mean, she doesn't take shit. You know, she's incredibly smart. She's not stupid. She's not just gonna stop for the detective and just be like, yeah, of course I'll go with you, stranger. I don't know you. Like, yeah, it's to fast forward a bit though. I'm gonna go to that part that I'm mentioning right now, because it's a very defining. It's really a moment that kind of sets her character. That really kind of, this is that moment essentially introduces you to her character and her personality, and it's a significant moment. So she wakes up from the dream here. Sorry to skip ahead. It's just that it's sort of for sake of brevity, I'm just gonna. You know, and she's human. She's a 3-dimensional character. She has emotions. She gets freaked out. You know, she gets scared, but she is courageous and manages to get through it. Oh, thank you so much, Shayna. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, the original and the original Silent Hill movie is a great, very underappreciated video game adaptation movie, and the second one, which is ironically our adaptation of this game story, is not necessarily well received, but the new movie that's coming out that's based on Silent Hill 2,
Dad,
that's an adaptation of Silent Hill 2, is very it's supposedly gonna be important, God willing.
Anyway, I'm coming home now. Oh, I didn't get that thing you asked me.
Oh, so here we go. So this is where her personality is essentially introduced to us.
Okay.
She's having a conversation with her dad, who is the hero or protagonist of the original Silent Hill.
I love you too, Dad.
And she tells him, oh, there you go, you could use the phone if you want. And he's like, nope. And she's like, okay, I'm not sticking around to figure out why you said no to that.
My name is Douglas Carter. I'm a detective.
A detective? Really? Well, nice talking to you.
That's sarcasm. It's just like, just such a quick wit that she has.
There's someone that wants to meet you. Just let me have an hour. No, half an hour of your time.
My daddy always told me not to talk to strangers.
This is very important. It's about your birth.
I'm not interested.
Yeah. I forget if this guy's is actually bad or not. He might actually be good, but it's I had to play through the rest of the game.
Are you still following me? Do I have to scream?
Sorry. I'll wait here.
Yeah, so she she senses that something's quite not right, and she totally she bounces. I mean, and she has a quick wit with the guy. She reacts, sharply. She's like, I'm not gonna take no shit. I'm not, I'm not gonna play around here. I mean, you're a strange guy that's following me, and keeps following me. Stop following me. It's an important character. That was created, and important characteristics that were given to her, and it's she's an iconic character in video gaming, hands down. Overcomes these impossible odds, and just is able to come out at the end, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know how the game ends, but I'm sure she survives. I hope. But nonetheless, she is still a badass, iconic gaming character. All right, so we're getting into like kind of the last parts of our stream here. Skipping ahead to hold on, let me see something. I'm gonna see which one to do first. Okay. All right, so our next game is a little bit more of an obscure title for the mainstream video game. Well, the mainstream audiences that don't really know, that aren't like gamers per se. But I'm in the wrong section. Sorry, I have to go to a different app. Origin. And yeah, this is a bit of a cult classic. It's called Mirror's Edge. And again, I know I'm skipping over a lot of very iconic female leads that I don't necessarily have the games. I just, like, for example, like Blood Rain is another one that's very significant. Tifa in Final Fantasy 17. I mean, sorry, wow. Final Fantasy 7, my bad. Kind of accidentally showed people my origin password. I'm gonna have to change it after this stream, but I think that's the password. Yes, it is the password. Yes, I am gonna have to change it after this stream. It's all right. in any event, there we go. So let me see, install EA app. Now it's time. Can I just do this some other time? I just want to play the game. Maybe this is good. Downloading stuff. Yada yada. Sorry guys, I didn't know this was like a thing that I had to do. I didn't know that Origin became the EA app now. I mean, that's good. I mean, in a way, a lot of people didn't really like Origin, so maybe this is a good thing. Yeah, we're getting into like the latter part of the stream now. We're getting more into the modern age. Mirror's Edge. Silent Hill 3, sorry, to start with, was I believe 2002 or 2003. And Mirror's Edge jumps us up to 2008. So yeah. I do want to also give special mention really quick before we do Mirror's Edge to Cortana. Now, Cortana, granted, she is not a playable character in Halo, but she is one of the most pivotal characters in the franchise. I mean, she's the artificial intelligence that gets put into Master Chief's suit, but also she's an artificial intelligence in her own sense. She's in her own right. She's not just attached to the suit. She has like this incredible storyline of she is very humanoid looking. I mean, she's made to look like a human. You know, and she has this incredible story, especially in this newer trilogy, because, you know, she kind of gets corrupted, I believe, and then turns over to, like, a dark side, and then the Master Chief's trying to save her. She, spoiler alert, I think she dies in Halo 4, and then in Halo 5, she comes back, but she's takes on a villain role, which was a big twist, and, you know, not so much a villain, more like a complex sort of villain, but not like that she's doing it out of malice, that she thinks she's doing the right thing. I haven't played Halo Infinite yet, but I'm pretty sure she has a very, very significant role in that. So basically, okay, but that's Cortana. I mean, you know, I wasn't gonna go ahead and what's it called? And she's witty. I mean, Cortana is very witty. She's very funny. She's fiercely intelligent. And granted, she is an AI. She's not human, but she's very human in the way that she's presented to us. So, you know, it's significant. And she's the one that saves Master Chief's life time and time again. So she is total badass and definitely deserves to get recognized in the pantheon of women characters in video game history. But we're going to go on to Mirror's Edge. Like I said, this is a little bit more obscure. You know, most people... Oh, funny thing about Cortana, actually. Microsoft, you know, the company that, of course, created Windows. Well, I don't say created Windows, but the company that, you know, owns Windows and owns the Xbox. They ended up making Cortana an AI for Windows, an AI program. So, but granted, not like she is in the video game, but you know, she's like a Siri or a Bixby essentially for Microsoft's platforms, both Xbox and Windows, which is really cool. And they have the voice actress in the video game actually voicing the AI in the Windows and on Xbox. So it's really cool. Okay, cool. Alright, so I'm going to start from new game now. I want to touch on Mirror's Edge because Mirror's Edge is much more obscure, and I wanted to... But it is a pretty cool cult classic from back in the day. And Faith Connors, you know, is sort of an underrated and underappreciated female heroine, I think, from video gaming history. I mean, granted, she had 2 games you know, both of them weren't quite so
Once the city used to pulse with energy, dirty and dangerous,
weren't quite so
but alive and wonderful. Now, it's something else. The changes came slowly at first. Most didn't realize, or didn't care, and accepted them. They chose a comfortable life. Some didn't. And those who refused to conform were pushed to the sidelines, criminalized. They became our clients. We call ourselves runners. We exist on the edge, between the gloss and the reality. The mirror's edge.
I love
we keep
that.
out of trouble, out of sight, and the cops don't bother us. Runners see the city in a different way. We see the flow. Rooftops become pathways and conduits, possibilities, and routes of escape. The flow is what keeps us running, keeps us alive.
And it's so what I wanted to really mention about Mirror's Edge is that you know, Faith Connor's this heroine that totally awesome. I mean, total badass. I mean, she you know, grew up in this world that basically totalitarian society, dictatorship society, a very big brother-ish society essentially took over and, you know, wanted to limit the people's freedoms, and a handful of rebellious people, a lot of rebellious people, you know, ended up being kind of persecuted, that wanted people to remain free, and they invented this part of the rebellion essentially known as the Runners. People that get information where it needs to be by performing essentially what is parkour to get across the city landscape undetected. You know, ended up kind of becoming this sort of underground, they ended up becoming this underground rebellious kind of little group that helped the larger rebellion, and it's really cool because they get information where it needs to be. And incredible that they put this character, not only is she a total badass and incredible at parkour and just incredibly acrobatic and very persevering, very strong character, she, you know, is they put a woman of color, an Asian woman, in the starring role, and that's amazing. I mean, granted, at this point there had already been, you know, other Asian women heroines in video gaming, you know, Kitana in Mortal Kombat, and, you know, I believe Hana from Fear Effect. But to put her in this titular role and give an Asian woman, a woman of color, this starring role, it's just amazing. And especially at the time, in 2008. I mean, granted, this wasn't like an old era, I get it, but, you know, you didn't really see a lot of you didn't see it as much as you do now in like media and everything. But yeah, no, she's Faith Connor's a total badass. Granted, this game is in first person, so you're not going to see her a lot, but I just wanted to kind of showcase her game really quickly, because I believe it's a little bit more obscure. It's a little more obscure, and people don't know about it as much, and so I just wanted to, give it a little bit of a moment to shine in this stream, because it definitely deserves. It definitely deserves a moment. It definitely deserves a moment to shine. And she deserves a moment to shine, especially. Unfortunately, this sort of reboot or reimagining back in 2016 called Mirror's Edge Catalyst didn't really get, unfortunately, as much recognition, and wasn't really too successful. So, sorry, not doing her justice. So unfortunately, the franchise hasn't really continued on. But who knows if one day it will again? Knock on wood. But let's call that for now with this game. Let me just get up to the upper. One thing I have to say is the visuals in this game are gorgeous. I mean, my goodness, it's beautiful. The city is beautiful, and granted, it's like it has this very distinct look to it of a kind of a very perfect looking dictatorship, Big Brother society. But you have to admit that's the visuals are gorgeous. But yeah, so let's leave that. Let's quit this game for now. Maybe we'll play a little more on the stream eventually because I do love. I mean, not on the stream, but on the channel eventually because I do love the game. But okay, let's go ahead and go on to the next game I had in mind. In the video game industry, one of the more famous women characters in the video game industry, especially in modern times. Alright, and that game is actually, it's pretty famous, and her as the character is pretty famous these days, especially being that Lady Gaga mentioned she was a big fan, and she would probably love to play her in a movie. Yes, we're talking about Bayonetta. A lot of you definitely probably know who Bayonetta is. She's a total badass witch. Supernatural woman who fights the forces of evil, and yeah, she's very sexualized in a lot of ways, which a lot of people might feel is a step backward. I mean, the game came out in 2009, the first game. This is a remaster they released on the Nintendo Switch, but or port essentially because it was already in HD. But so okay, but basically she she's iconic though. I mean, she's a big pop culture thing. Fine, she might be a bit sexualized, and some of her moves look very sexual and everything. But, and you'll see what I'm saying when I start the game. But, but she's a total badass. She's strong. She's wise in a lot of ways, and she's an overall fierce female lead in video gaming and an icon these days. Alright, sorry for the wait, guys. Just downloading an update. I didn't know the game had an update, though. That's pretty cool. Almost done. With the download. Sorry. There we go.
Commandments and crafted a bond with one of the light. Our laws are clear. They demand you be eternally imprisoned. As for the impure child, she must be kept from the path of the dark arts forever.
I'm not sure if that's Bayonetta or her mother. I forget exactly what it, like the backstory. Her name rings across the world these days. Bayonetta. Gotta admit, it rolls off the tongue. So I'm gonna do... yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, let me just start from scratch. I mean, I still have my save data there, I'm not overriding it, but I just wanted to start from the beginning so you guys could get a sense of the backstory and everything. This game is very well known for its over-the-top action set pieces that are very like high scale and very flashy, and it's very, the action is very hack and slash like Devil May Cry.
Long since erased from the records of time, there once existed two European clans who
Bayonetta, man, she's a total, say what you will about the over-sexualization sometimes, but she's a total badass.
the Umbra Witches, dwellers of the darkness, and the Lumen Sages, controllers of the light. The clans paid each other great
And her look is iconic.
in their efforts to
And her
maintain
character is
balance
iconic.
between them, defended the just passage of time. Yet one day, that balance was toppled.
I love how they give you the backstory during like a fight about the Umbra Witches and the the Sages. This is actually a stage in Smash where you can
Harmonious clans fell into disagreement and stoked the flames of hatred against each other, resulting in an era of strife. The conflict between the Umbra and the Lumen threw all of Europe into a chaotic loop of battle, ambush, assassination, and casualty. It was true.
Yeah, I can too, actually. I could totally, thank you, Taina. I could totally see Lady Gaga playing this role, and she would love it. It would be like, she would be so ecstatic. She loves Bayonetta.
Sages were gradually weakened by the assault of the secretive Dark Witches. Years after the balance was lost, the war had ended in Umbra Witches' favor.
Ah. I wonder if Bayonetta, I believe she's an Umbra Witch. It's been a long time since I played the game, so I forget a lot of the story, but... the gameplay is very much like Devil May Cry, by the way, like hack and slash. In fact, they consider it like a kind of spiritual successor to Devil May Cry in a lot of ways. I mean, not really, but it's just similar gameplay to Devil May Cry. But yeah, this was like an evolution of that hack and slash gameplay style.
Their victory was short-lived.
Oh.
Fearing the witches' dark abilities, humans began to condemn the remaining Umbra. They launched the witch hunts, rounding up battleweary witches with little resistance.
So in this universe, the witch hunts were against the Umbra Witches.
Continued the struggle. Human faith in the miracles of their god pushed the witch hunts further, and soon the Umbra Witches, keepers of the darkness, were extinguished from the earth. All but one.
Oh. Oh, thank you, Steve. Yes, I love this game too. It's iconic. So badass. If they made this into a movie or like a series, it'd be so awesome. Present day. So I think she's the last remaining Umbra Witch, if I'm not mistaken. Whoa, they all just killed themselves? That's wild. Oh, there is more like her in the game, yes. That is right, actually. Ooh, costume change. I like how they're putting the names of the their creative team on the tombstones. Hideki Kamiya. Oops, excuse me.
It looks like Humpty Dumpty's taking his last fall. Even old Eggman the Destroyer gets scrambled in the end, right?
I feel like this guy sounds a little bit like
I still don't get why the hell you dragged me out here for these things.
Joe Pesci.
Hey, bet you can't guess what today is. Reading the good Lord's book ain't gonna do much. People been waiting for this asshole to get whacked for ages. Please. Hell, look around. There's no love lost for old Humpty Dumpty. But you gotta keep the outfit happy. We don't take care of him, they take care of us.
He's like a mafia guy or something.
And I prefer my shoes made out of rubber, not concrete.
Definitely sounds like a mafia guy, but nah.
Without good-hearted souls like us to put these bastards 6 feet under, where'd society be? Of course, the pay's not bad either. Jesus, you really get into it, don't you? If it were me, cute. Or at least sunny side up.
I believe that's her. She's saying a prayer for someone.
Keep praying, but the only way this guy's meeting the Lord is if God's hungry for breakfast.
Wow.
Speaking of hungry, we done here? My kids are baking me a birthday cake. They're baking me a birthday cake tonight. Cute little fuckers, I tell you what. Well,
I just casually dropping the F-bomb.
Adios. What the fuck? They're here? For this douchebag? Ah! I hate this damn light. I can't see a thing. Oh! What the there? Ain't me. You hearing me? You can see them, can't you?
I see them. They are instruments of God, descending upon his heavenly rays to earth.
Oh my God!
Dear Lord, grant us guidance and keep safe the souls of our loved ones for all eternity.
It's such a total badass introduction to her character. Every time she meets a new enemy like that, it shows it in the book like that. So she's fighting angels? I forget exactly what the lore is in this, but... I forgot why she fights the angels. It's because she's part of the Umbra. But, and these angels are not necessarily good, I think. They're like dark angels, but yeah. For something like that. Or maybe they fight the light angels because they're from the Umbra side, the dark side. But this is her iconic introduction to the world. Uh-oh.
Next time you want your hands on me, you better make sure I'm dead.
She's not a nun per se. She's like the last remaining Umbra witch. It's just I think she dresses. They have like a ritual where they dress that way and say like prayer, or maybe she was doing that to lure the angels to this guy's grave so that she could fight them. This guy becomes a colleague of hers as the games go on.
And I'm gonna have to go back in that hole chasing after the money.
You naughty little angels deserve a good spanking.
Yes. Subtle sexualization in the game, yes. Her attire is similar to a nun, yes, I do say that. But it's for this moment. Eventually, in this... Yeah, in case you weren't sure if she was going to be sexualized at any point in this game, there you go. And this is her iconic outfit that she gets known for the rest of the whole series. I mean, it changes up a little bit as time goes on, but yeah. And lo and behold, dual pistols. Like I told you, Lara Croft like made that iconic for all time.
This is cheeky. Throwing me these cheap toys.
I think that's a joke about like the Tomb Raider pistols because they look a little bit similar to the Tomb Raider pistols, like the gray and black. But she ends up getting her iconic Bayonetta pistols, I think shortly after this. And she has the guns attached to her feet as well. Such a badass. Lollipop.
If you're just gonna watch, I'm putting you to the work.
This is like one thing I love about Bayonetta, the video game, is that it just has this very funny, kind of campy, like tongue-in-cheeky humor to the action. It's like it's over the top and like very goofy, but in a great, but also badass at the same time.
As long as there's music, I'll keep on dancing.
Also, one thing to know about this game is that it's extremely Japanese, and the Japanese very much love their over-the-top, very flamboyant action sequences and set pieces. And Bayonetta is very much a product of that tradition in character and the video game. Like the overall video game and the character herself. Hence is one of the reasons why she's also very kind of sexualized. Because the Japanese aren't very they don't really hold back with that a lot. And a lot of their anime especially, there's a lot of sexualization of the female characters, and so, you know, fine. Some people might see that as a kind of might not be very happy about that in terms of the whole feminist kind of, you know, perspective of things, but you know, in a way, similar to how I feel, and again, I guess, yeah, fine, I'm a guy, you know, but, you know, it's kind of how I feel about the original iterations of Lara Croft. I don't think it takes away from the badassery. I mean, fine. Maybe Lara Croft is a little bit over-sexualized in the marketing, but in the video game itself, not so much. But Bayonetta, definitely sexualized in the video game. But I don't think it takes away from her badassery. She's still a total badass. She still is incredibly strong. She still bests a lot of the male villains and female villains in the game. And is fiercely intelligent, fiercely she's just iconic, you know what I mean? So I don't think it takes away from that at all. I think it's a part of who she is, and you know, when you think about it, a lot of the feminist argument, I think, in a lot of senses that, you know, hey, it's okay for women to own their sexuality, and Bayonetta definitely, you know, Bayonetta very much owns her sexuality and character, you know what I mean? She's, it's not for the pleasure of others, it's for her own desire to show off her sexuality and, you know, and be confident in her sexuality. And, you know, that's awesome. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, you know. There we go. Activates witch time. It's one of the crucial fighting techniques in the game. It allows things to slow down briefly while you then get the upper hand on the enemy. But yeah, bit of a controversy with her original voice actress. She had made these giant claims that she wasn't going to be paid enough for the third game, so she asked people to boycott, and they found out she was lying, which kind of sucks because I love the voice acting. I love the voice actress's performance, and it just sucks that whole controversy happened, and she got there was controversy surrounding her about being honest about it, the whole pay rate thing or not. So a different voice actress plays her in the third game. Yeah, individuality, exactly. It goes back to individuality. Thank you so much about the whole, you know, her being able... It's an individual part of her personality that she's confident in her sexuality and she wants to show it off, and, you know, it doesn't take away from the fact that she's a badass. And a totally amazing icon. But yeah, once this battle is finished, I'm going to go on to the next game. You know, I did want to place a big focus on Bayonetta because I feel like she's one of the more new iconic female icons in gaming that's come out in the last 10 or 15 years. And it's funny, this game, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was made by Sega. I mean, either it was produced by Sega or whatever the case is. And and whenever she kills these enemies in the beginning, they have rings that come out of them like Sonic, so that's a funny little homage to Sonic in there. And the music also sounds very anime. I love it. Well, actually, you know what? In a way, yes. I think you're right. I think they are halos, but I mean, they do look a little bit like the Sonic rings. I mean, that couldn't be too much of a coincidence. You know, being that the game is a Sega game as well. If I'm not mistaken, it's a Sega game, I believe. But yeah. Say what? Oh, okay, so it was developed by, thank you so much, I appreciate that. It was developed by Platinum Games and owned by Sega, so that makes sense. So in a way, I feel like the rings, even though they're halos, it is a little bit of an homage to Sonic. I can see it being an homage to Sonic. Like, to have a bunch of rings come out of an enemy, it's funny. I mean, even though in the Sonic game they come out of Sonic, but yeah. This tutorial is a great introduction to her character and overall, the mechanics of the game. It's such an iconic introduction for her. Uh-oh, boss battle.
I'm not dead yet! Not... You can't take me like this! It's against regulations, I tell you!
Alright, so that's pretty much the end of the boss sequence. So I'm gonna go, I mean the battle sequence. I'm gonna go on to the next game. We're getting to the end of the stream, essentially. So I'm going to go on to the next 2 games. Well, actually, just one thing I wanted to do kind of for fun before I go on to the last 2 games is there's a game on the Switch that I wanted to showcase. It's connected to the Zelda universe. It's not a wait, no, you know what? Yeah. It's not strictly a like a mainline game in the Zelda series, but it's a spin-off. But it's a spin-off that allows you to play as some of the iconic female characters in the Zelda franchise, and I think it'd be very fun just to like play around with it and just see some of the badassery they allow these icons of the Zelda franchise to be in this game. They're iconic regardless, but yeah. So let's see, legend mode or free mode. Let me see if legend. Okay, I don't have Zelda yet, but so I can't play with Zelda, but we do have Sheik, who is Zelda in disguise. And just wanted to play with Sheik briefly.
Link and his allies were saved from the dangers of the Elden Caves by a mysterious youth named Sheik. Joined by their new ally, Impa's troops.
And Impa is a total badass too. She's Zelda's essentially like protector in the Zelda game, on Ocarina of Time, and a bunch of the other games too. I believe she has a character made for this game, the young woman with the book, Lana. The Zelda series is chock full of these awesome, badass female figures who don't always get to be shown in the action because the game essentially focuses mainly on Link. But there is some moments, and I'm going to showcase those because I did want to give Princess Zelda her just due because she is, while she did start as a damsel in distress character very similar to Peach, she took on a much more active and very strong role as time has gone on, especially starting in Ocarina of Time, which I'll show some footage in a sec. But when she's Sheik, in disguise as Sheik, in Ocarina of Time, and in, you know, the spin-off games like this, you know, she takes on a whole new persona. I mean, she's a total freaking badass. I mean, look at the fighting skill, it's insane. I mean, granted, this isn't a canonical Zelda game, but like, it's so badass. So, okay, I'm gonna go to YouTube, and we're gonna find some of that footage of Ocarina really quickly. Switching back to my PC. My bad. bit of a issue. Yeah. No. Well, yes, but like the connection. Let me try to just unplug and plug it in. I believe so, but I'm just gonna unplug it and plug it. See if it does anything. To the hub, it would just require too much like in and out. So I'm just the capture card, yes. The splitter is connected to the capture card. I don't know if it's an issue with the computer though, or if it is on. Let me see something. I don't know if it's a problem with the computer or. Yeah, no, I think it's not the splitter, it's the PC. Let me see something. I don't know if it's... Well, if it's the PC, it's okay, because I'm not going to need the PC. I'm just going to do it from the Switch, the YouTube. Okay. Alright, so we're back. I'm going to just use YouTube on the Switch, because for some reason I was having a little issue with the PC. And I don't want to spend too much time trying to fix that. Ironically, my... Okay, let's see. Oops. I meant to put like Ocarina of Time. I'm like here. Weird. I'm having an issue with copyright protection again, which is weird because I had no issue with the Switch a moment ago. Very strange. No, I'm just not sure why it's being weird.
Can you reply?
It's saying like copyrighted content, but it's not. But it's okay. I'm gonna do everything. The last bit is on the PS5 anyway, so I'm gonna turn the PS5 on. And that one I definitely turned off the HDCP thing, which hopefully now it'll fix. If not, you know.
Oh yeah, it says copy protection.
Yeah, very odd.
Wait.
There we go. Alright. Alright, the PS... So we're going to continue off on the PS5 because it seems to be functioning better. Yeah, don't mind me. I'm just... sometimes I have to put test internet connection so that way the internet will toggle the internet in the moment and allow me to go to the download section and stuff. Not bad. Alright, so let's go to... on YouTube. I believe I have YouTube on here. If not, oh, here we go, media. Twitch. I'm gonna be very surprised if there's no YouTube on this PS5. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, some speaker static. Hold on, let me try. I was just told that there's some speaker static, so I'm just gonna unplug and plug back in. Alright. How's the audio? Is it okay? Oh, okay, okay. Thank you. Alright. Oh. I get it now. So I can't show YouTube off consoles. It's considered copyrighted. Yeah. Okay, but I can show it off the PC. So I'm going to have to do it off the PC. If I even can. No, it's just I find it weird that the PC. Okay, all right. PC's back on. Looks like it's working now. All right, this is better. Sorry for that little delay, guys. Thank you for watching, by the way. Thank you so much for everybody who's been watching. I really appreciate it. Problem with streaming. Hi, 503 Gamer. I mean, 503 Gamer. Thank you so much for joining the stream. Yeah, well, I was having a little bit of an issue with HDCP, like copyright protection. So I was trying to show something on YouTube, but it's alright, I figured it out. I'm able to do it on the PC, just not from consoles, because some consoles it doesn't allow you to show YouTube footage. There's my stream. I was just trying to show Zelda. Well, you know what, actually? Zelda scene. Those scenes, Ocarina of Time. Well, let's see. You know what, actually? I'm just gonna go based on the, let me see, hold on. Da, da, da. Okay, so, whoa, this is like original N64 footage. Interesting. Oh, thank you so much, and I appreciate that, Tana. Yeah, it's no big deal. The glitches are, you know, I'm not connected directly to an Ethernet, so it's not, you know. This looks pretty bad, though. Let me see if I can find a better footage. I mean, no offense to count, but like 2009, it's just... let me see, all cutscenes? Okay. Let me just skip ahead to the Zelda ones. And there were a lot of awesome female... I should have touched on this earlier, this game, because this game is very significant in the Zelda franchise and in video gaming history in general. You know, there's a lot of awesome female characters in this. There's Soraya, you know, who's essentially Link's best friend growing up as a child, and she is actually Zelda franchise because you know, like they changed them from being just like I said, damsels in distress from the earlier kind of from the earlier games, how they were portrayed, and then put them in these more active roles. I mean, even Soraya, his best friend, is very has an important role. She's one of the sages that seals the door. She's one of the sages that placed the seal, sealing away Ganondorf, aka Ganon, you know, in prison behind the Door of Time. So yeah, they had a much more active role in Ocarina of Time, and from here on outwards, I mean, this is what really changed the representation of women in the Zelda franchise. Zelda herself has a much more active role. I mean, she's here as a child talking to Link about the secret of the royal family, and you know, trusting him with this tale, and you know, teams up with him to ask him to retrieve the other stones to open up the Door of Time, to then prevent Ganondorf from getting the power Triforce. Yes, the music is very seriously beautiful. And I love how in this game the creators of the world were 3 goddesses. The creators of Earth, essentially, or Hyrule, were 3 goddesses, women. That's amazing. They created the world. And it's a beautiful kind of philosophical story. They said that Din, which was fire, created like the molten earth. Nairu, who is wise, created like essentially like the waters and the lakes and the oceans, and Faru, I forget the quality of Faru, but I mean, I know that she's that part of the Triforce which symbolizes courage, but basically she created like the greens of the earth and the life and the plants and everything. It's a beautiful philosophy. But essentially, okay, going back to this, so I see 3 spiritual stones, and she's teaming up with Link to try to prevent her kingdom from falling into chaos. Anyway, long story short, let's skip ahead because this is where they talk about Ganondorf, and she's a crucial part of the storyline here. I mean, she teaches Link the Song of Time, which is quintessential because that's what allows the Door of Time to open, and she has to flee with Impa when Ganondorf attempts to take over. And it's like Link's dream that he has being in the game came true, which is freaky, but Zelda survives, thankfully, without him realizing it. And she goes into hiding for years, but she takes on a disguised persona known as Sheik. And that's Impa, who we saw in the other game with Zelda, with Sheik, and in Hyrule Warriors. But so okay, essentially what happened. Basically what happens is, you know, she's able to escape. She survives. She takes on this persona of Sheik to fight against the tyranny of Ganondorf. And you know, along with Impa, although Impa is not really like along with him, but yeah. Anyway, basically, so she teaches the Song of Time to Link. She wanted to wait for you, but I couldn't delay any longer. She's a crucial part of this plan to save Hyrule, you know. And let me see where Sheik is introduced, because we don't realize that Sheik is Zelda until the very end of the game, when it's revealed that she's Zelda. Not the very end, but right before the end. And I believe he meets Sheik right after defeating the Forest Temple, the first temple. Once he travels in time to being an adult, 7 years later, after the events, after Zelda leaves with Impa, 7 years pass, but he fast forwards through it when he picks up this Master Sword, because essentially that propels him into the future. But in those 7 years, Ganondorf has taken over. When he puts the sword back in, he goes back 7 years, which is incredible, and is able to influence the past, or get things from the past that'll help him in the future. But yeah, because he starts out as a kid, pulls out the Master Sword, becomes an adult, fast forwards in time to when he's an adult 7 years later, and then is able to put the sword back, go back in time 7 years, and get things that he needs in the past to then carry them into the future, like tools like the Lens of Truth, which are very useful. But anyway, getting back to Zelda, see right here, she took on such an incredibly active and badass role in this game. I mean, you don't find out she's Zelda until later, but she, teaches him a bunch of the songs for the Ocarina that have magical qualities, and allow him to fast travel across Hyrule, and in addition to that, allow parts of the world to open up. It's really, really freaking cool. And I'm going to fast forward to when she reveals that she's Zelda, because that was such an awesomely badass moment. And let me see. Oops, wait. Here we go. So once you've defeated all the temples, and you go back to the Temple of Time, so you learn that all the pieces of the Triforce that went to different people. Ganondorf had the power, Triforce of Power, Zelda had the Triforce of Wisdom, and Link had the Triforce of Courage, or ends up getting the Triforce of Courage, essentially. See? Those chosen by destiny to hold the two other Triforce parts. Zelda was chosen to have Wisdom, and Link was chosen to have the Triforce of Courage. And Zelda's one of the sages as well. It's the 7th sage. It's freaking amazing. It was such a badass twist. Oh, so the Triforce names, so there's Triforce of Power, Triforce of Courage, and Triforce of Wisdom. They're the 3 triangles that make up the larger Triforce, which is the ultimate power. Ganondorf had ended up stealing the Triforce of Power when Link opened up the Door of Time and pulled out the Master Sword. Zelda was chosen by destiny to have the Triforce of Wisdom, and Link was chosen by destiny to have the Triforce of Courage. Which makes perfect sense, because he's the hero of the story. But yeah, this is such a significant moment in the story when she recalls with Link when she had to leave 7 years before. And she entrusted him with the Ocarina that was the key to opening up the Door of Time, and a key magical element to the story. Hence the name of the game, Ocarina of Time. So he was sealed away in the Sacred Realm by the Master Sword for 7 years, and unfortunately he wasn't able to prevent Ganondorf from getting the Triforce of Power. She waited for 7 years. So Link is the key because he has the Triforce of Courage. He's the chosen one who's meant to save the land of Hyrule, and she's the chosen one of Wisdom who's meant to be a critical part of that plan. Like she gives him the light. She gifts him with the light arrows in this scene, if I'm not mistaken. The light arrows was a crucial element. It was a very it's one of the is the important tool. So yep, there we go. Arrow of Light. It is one of the most important weapons. It's the most important weapon that needs to be used to defeat Ganondorf. Along with the Master Sword, the Sword of Destiny. Ah, yeah. This is also the scene where she gets captured, spoiler alert, and gets taken to the castle by Ganondorf, yes. She is getting put back in a captured role, but she also has some badass scenes later on, too. When Link's fighting Ganondorf on the top of the tower. He called her a traitor? What an ass. Huh. The person saying all this is Ganondorf, by the way. He found out that when she revealed herself, he was able to capture her. This is largely considered by many to be the greatest video game in history, and by many to be the greatest Zelda game till this date, with a lot of people debating whether or not certain chapters, like either Twilight Princess or Breath of the Wild, have overcome it as the greatest chapter in the Zelda pantheon. But Ocarina of Time, I think for many, remains the number one. It was the crucial turning point in the franchise. It actually split the timeline, but also at the same time, you know, was revolutionary in video gaming. But okay, it invented the modern targeting system that we have now. Okay, I'm gonna go to the battle on the rooftop. He saves Zelda. I think they go down, and then here we go. Let's see, right there. I think that's the part where he already fought Ganondorf, but now he's gonna have a fight with Ganon, who's Ganondorf in his pure evil form, where he resembles like a giant pig. A giant, like, minotaur pig. He used to freak me out when he had the eyes like that. I was like, that was creepy. He uses the Triforce of Power to transform into Ganon. That's what it is. This is why it's very important at a certain point in the game to get a different sword. There you get something called the Bigron sword. And because he makes the Master Sword fly out of your arsenal, and you have to use a different sword, the Bigron sword. And then once the fire, once the fire border is down from his magic that's separating him and Zelda, he's able to use the Master Sword again. And this is so badass, look at that. They're showing her use her magical power, which is so freaking cool, her light power. The first time in the franchise that they really allow that to be shown and like show that she has she's powerful. Zelda is very powerful. And so this is what I love about this game. It really elevated her character to a new level. Here we go, Link defeats Ganon. But with Zelda's help, he couldn't have done it without Zelda. And I'm gonna leave it essentially at that. And this is like their final scene together. It's very beautiful. But for the sake of brevity, I'm gonna move forward into the next part. We're into probably the final two games. Although, I do want to show one thing. Sorry, I keep saying I'm going to go to the final 2 games, but I do want to sidetrack again really quickly. Because since we're talking about the classic princesses being elevated to another level, I do want to talk about Princess Peach really quickly and an awesome portrayal that she had in a newer game from 2013. You know, we kind of traveled back in time for a sec after Bayonetta. Ocarina of Time is from 1998. Hyrule Warriors, though, is from 2014, so at least like that was a little bit of a moving forward in timeline-wise. But I couldn't go on. I had to talk about Ocarina of Time at least in some capacity because it was a big step forward for the portrayal of Zelda, and also it was just a big, monumental, revolutionary moment in video gaming. Alright, so we're looking at Mario 3D World. I know this might seem silly, but in a way, this game sort of was like a beautiful evolution of that 4-player concept. They did that. They did the 4-player concept again in New Super Mario Bros. But it's an evolution of the concept from Mario Bros. 2, where you know, you have 4 players and you're, you know, Peach is not the damsel in distress. She's actually an active member of the. She's an active member of the team, who's trying to like defeat the evil or whatever the case is. In this case, Peach is teaming up with Mario, Toad, and Luigi to save these beautiful little fairy sprites that have been captured by Bowser. So now she's going to war with Bowser. She's in the fight against Bowser herself as well, which is really freaking cool. So we're gonna choose a random level. We can see Peach in action, and granted, this isn't a same. This might not have the same weight as something like Super Princess Peach, because you know Super Princess Peach was a game where they kind of flipped the script, and you know Princess Peach has to save Mario instead of Mario saving her, and I believe she has to save Luigi as well. So that was really cool. But I don't have that game. I never really got that game, so I just wanted to showcase a little bit of this game and show that, you know, as time went on, Peach got put more in an active role as well. And even though she still gets kidnapped a whole lot in a lot of the Mario traditional games that still come out, like New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe and stuff like that, but I appreciate this game for putting her in a different role, you know, for letting her be part of the action. And this game, I don't know if what is technically considered Mario canon, but at least this game was not a dream like Mario Bros. 2. And it wasn't taken from a Japanese game that was basically just refitted to have Mario characters like Mario Bros. 2. This was an actual game made by Nintendo that put Peach in an active heroine role. So it's really cool. I mean, she has a lot of cool. She has. What I love is that they let her. They gave her her floating ability. They gave her her floating ability from Mario Bros. 2. Which is super cool. So she has that a slight glide when you jump with her, and you hold down the jump button, which gives her a great advantage over her male counterparts because, you know, it saves you from a lot of falls. But yeah, basically I just wanted to kind of showcase that, you know, Rosalina, who's another princess who got introduced in Mario Galaxy, is also playable in this game once you beat the game. So that was really cool. So I just wanted to like show that really quickly. But yeah, we're gonna go on to our final 2. This time we're actually gonna go on to our final 2 games. I'm not gonna what's it called? Say wait. We gotta do this other thing first, because no, we're gonna go on to our final 2 games now. Yeah, you know what? It's very true. Thank you, Steve-O. It is very much like an umbrella effect. And the funny thing is, in Super Princess Peach, that's her main weapon, is an umbrella. So she's very much. An umbrella is something that's very kind of kind of one of her defining kind of weapons and things. And in Smash Bros, she uses the umbrella as well. So anyway, sorry to say anyway, but really quickly, I'm gonna change to discussing. You know what? I might have to go back to YouTube because I forgot I didn't install the game for the sake of brevity. I don't want to install the whole game right now of Last of Us Remastered, but I do want to touch on the character of Ellie. Now, Last of Us right now is a big name thanks to the not only the video games, which are iconic, but the recent HBO Max. I mean, sorry, the recent HBO show adaptation. And so that show adaptation really has propelled The Last of Us into like international mega fame, which is amazing, and I'm so happy about that. So the characters of Joel and Ellie have become international superstars, and I love that because they were always badass and iconic, but, you know, let's see. I'm just going to go and look up Last of Us Part 1. I think I'm having another issue with the HDMI. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Oh, no. It's good. It's good. I was wrong. Here we go. Ellie's most badass moments. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with Last of Us, it's a show that takes place post-apocalypse, essentially, where this evolved mutated fungus, is able to infect humans, and apparently this isn't so far from what funguses actually do to certain insects in real life, but also there's a fear that if funguses evolve, like they could actually infect people one day, like in the brain and stuff like that, which is freaky because that's what this game is about. About a fungus that infects people's brains. Turns them into these zombie, well, I don't want to say zombie, but infected creatures that essentially very vicious and everything. But yeah, Ellie's an icon. I mean, she was this badass 14-year-old girl who was born into this horrific world where she had to really survive, and she was born in a quarantine zone at the very least, where there was technically like food and stuff, but the quarantine zones are not necessarily happy places. I mean, they were in this world a really happy place except for the independent communities. The quarantine zones are ran by the federal government, essentially, which has become more kind of like a military state. And yeah, so turns out she's immune to the virus.
It's 3 weeks old. No, everyone turns within 2 days, so you stop bullshitting. It's 3 weeks.
And
I swear.
she's Joel, and originally also Tess, who sadly dies early in the game. Spoiler alert. We're helping her get across the United States. With the Fireflies asked them if they could do this, because they wanted to see if perhaps they could manufacture a cure or vaccine using her blood, because she didn't turn when she was bitten. She was immune, and that was never seen before, so they wanted to see if they could manufacture a cure. Now the game is essentially about her and Joel's journey across the United States, from the eastern coast essentially to the west coast of the United States, to
Turn around and get on your knees.
to reach the Fireflies and the doctors who could manufacture the cure. So, scientists. But yeah, so throughout this game, she has such an incredibly iconically defined character. She's this badass teenage girl who's tough as nails and really, is able to hold her own in a lot of situations. And it has this, she's a tough girl. She's a tough wit. She doesn't take shit. She definitely curses a lot. And I love that they adapted her so well in the TV show. But yeah, I mean, she's very she's resourceful. She's she's a lot of great things. She's a lot of great things. She's an incredible character. She's an iconic character who saves Joel's life on many occasions. I mean, granted, he saves her life as well, but I mean, he would have died without her. I mean, after he's injured in this scene, she has to help him get to a safe place, where then she finds him antibacterial medicine, and she saves him. I mean, she literally saves him. And she helps him get out of this crazy situation right here. This was when they reached a certain place where they thought they were going to meet the Fireflies, but it turns out that it was a trap from raiders or basically people who basically like nomads who are like, you know, pirates, that they take things from people who are wandering through the wasteland, as they, you know, through the land. Oh man, this scene is nasty because he has to like, oh no, he has to help lift him from the freaking thing that was piercing his body. It's like, ugh. So this is, I think, one of the moments where, like, this is one of the, like, she really, like, she helps him get out of here. Like, cause there's these raiders that are here, and, you know, they would have killed Joel in 2 seconds if it wasn't for Ellie here. I mean, it's crazy.
Can you handle the window?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on, move!
Shit. I see you.
Alright. Just stay here.
That's so really awesome. This is one of the most badass scenes in the entirety of the game.
Come on out. Do this the hard way? You little bitch.
We gotta get you out of here.
And what I love is that she's such an incredibly three-dimensionally defined character. I mean, she's not just this one-note character. She's, you know, she has fears. She has, you know, she may be badass and she may, you know, but she's this young kid born into this world that she didn't, you know, this horrible world that, you know, and she was forced to be strong and forced to, you know, have to deal with these things. And, you know, she perseveres, and, but she's also vulnerable. She's also, you know, there's a scene later on in the game where she gets assaulted, or she's almost assaulted by this cannibal guy, and he's sick dude. That you know, and she manages to get the upper hand and kill him, and you know, but she's shaken after that, and you know, Joel helps to comfort her, you know, as a father figure, and he's there for her, and he he really was there for her in that moment to like help her like heal from that traumatic experience. And you know, she's a very three-dimensional character, and this is she's one of the most iconic, if not possibly like the most iconic, you know, woman character. I mean, granted, she's a young girl in this game, but you know, in the second game she's an adult. You know, granted, she's possibly like the most iconic video game character of the post-2010 age. And I say that because Bayonetta came out in 2009. I mean, Bayonetta, I think, might be possibly like the most iconic of the modern age, but you know, there are some also other, you know, great female leads who I don't have the games, so I can't really show them. I probably show the YouTube footage like this, but I wanted to show The Last of Us because it's one of my favorite games of all time, and you know, it's become so incredibly famous, thankfully, due to the TV show. But making Joel and Ellie superstars, which is amazing. But going back to what I was saying about Ellie, yeah, she's iconic. I mean, man, she's quickly become one of the most recognizable and one of the most iconic video game characters of the modern age. Of iconic and overall video game character, but especially like women lead character in video gaming. She's become one of the most iconic of the modern age. So yeah. So basically, this is like essentially what I was just trying to show some footage, some of her like most iconic moments.
Women and children, all very hungry too.
And she's very smart. She knows to say only what's necessary. Gets herself out of these tough situations.
Been out for quite some time.
You see this. I love they adapted this very, very faithfully in the TV show. This part where she, pretends she was captured by this cult man named David, and you know, he has this little society of survivors, and but she He captures her, but she gets the upper hand. And because he wanted to keep her alive for many reasons, which is very sick. But also, I love, this is one of her most badass moments. She's like, tell them that.
Ellie is the little girl who broke your fucking finger.
I love it. Such a badass line. Oh man.
Where'd you put it? Tiny pieces.
Yeah, but she's able to get herself out of this situation. God bless. They're about to like kill her for meat because they've been eating people, and she is able to get the upper hand by telling her that she's infected. And
Look at it.
you know, which is true, but you know, she doesn't tell them that she's immune per se.
What'd you say? Everything happens for a reason, right?
What the hell is that? She would have turned by now. It can't be real. Looks pretty fucking real to me.
And she's quick-witted. She knew in that moment to react and escape. And it's such a freaking awesome moment. Her iconic knife. That's like her titular weapon. But yeah, and then they fight. Her and David fight, and you know, at one moment he's like pinning her down, and sick man, you know, is pinning her down, and thankfully she's able to reach for the machete and kill him. It happens a little differently in the TV show. It happens exactly like this, but she goes outside before she sees Joel. In this version, Joel stops her from, I mean, he's already dead. He's been dead, David, but Joel's able to stop her and, you know, comfort her in that traumatic moment right there, because she was so shaken. You know, she's a very human character, and this is the thing I love about the way they developed her character. I mean, she's not just this untouchable badass who never feels anything. She's human. You know, she's vulnerable, and she's flawed, and she's, you know, complex, and I love this about her. This is one of the most beautifully, it's one of the most beautiful and empowering moments in the game. So, okay, that was our second to last game, essentially what would have been if I would have played the footage, but I'm going to go on to the, I think I have this game downloaded. The last game that I want to show is named Control. This is, excuse me, sorry. This is a game that is very, became very famous, and I think it won Game of the Year a couple of years ago. It's from the same studio that's made Max Payne, Alan Wake, Quantum Dream. No, sorry, no, that's the name of a company. Quantum Break, and then Control, which is a very, very freaking amazing third-person action game with an incredibly surreal and complex story that's like cinematic and incredibly masterful, and stars a very female protagonist by the name of Jessie. I forget her last name because I just started playing the game recently. Control protagonist. Jesse Faden. Okay, yes. She's chosen by the board to replace the recently deceased Zachariah Trench as the director of the FBC. Now, she goes through a heck of a journey according to what I see and what I've seen in footage. But I actually don't have the game downloaded. I'm gonna go back to the trusty PC and just show some footage because we're gonna be here a very long time here. We wait for the game to download. But yeah, I was intrigued by Jessie Faden when I saw her in the marketing for Control, because she reminded me a little bit of Claire Redfield from Resident Evil in the Revelations 2 video game. But yeah, let me turn the computer back on. I had turned it off again. This poor computer, it's been turned on and off so many times. No, just because I thought I was finished with it for the stream, but I'm gonna go back. Yeah, I have to wait for the Wi-Fi adapter to pick up the internet. Says I'm offline. It says I have internet though. That's funny. Oh, okay, back online. All right, Jesse Faden, control. And look at the voice actress, and I think the motion capture actress looks just like her. So, based on what I know about this game, the FBC is this incredible, like, reality-altering, like, corporation or something. And she's I don't know much about her, but I know that she's one of the more recent female kind of leads, total badass in video gaming. And from the footages I've seen of her super cool abilities and everything. Wait, hold on. That's not the video I was looking for. How strong is Jesse Faden? Okay.
When it comes to characters like Jesse Faden,
yeah, she has these incredible, like, telekinetic abilities, very supernatural.
Fighting paranormal creatures. She lives in a world where it's got a lot of paranormal
just a little bit stuff. Like looking. Let me see.
As a starting point,
there isn't too much I can say honestly about Jessie because I don't know too much about her, but I just wanted to showcase some of the footage from the game. Really freaking cool the abilities that she showcases. They're so fucking badass.
As much as possible. That's why I really like things like telekinesis and mind control and things like that. I would like to imagine that the first ability you get is actually the service weapon in the game. It's an object of power, and it's something that is an expression of a kind of a
there isn't too much I could say.
A prototype of a weapon, if you will. And it can grow into different type of forms, and you can upgrade it later on in the game. The second one we're
gonna end it there, honestly. But Jesse, yeah, I want to play more of Control. I was able to get it for free with PS Plus. And it runs extremely good on the PS5. So I'm gonna just leave it there for now, guys. But I can't tell you how much it means to me, those of you that were here, the people who have supported the streams, and you know, and I should have said this a little bit more during the stream, but you know, please donate. Anybody who's here, anybody who's watched the stream, you know, this stream was done in dedication of a charity known as MADRE. A very wonderful charity that helps women the world over. I originally meant to do this stream on the final day of Women's Month. And unfortunately, I was having some technical difficulties yesterday. I still had a little bit of choppiness today, but not as much in the video. But, you know, I wanted to do it today because, you know, this is a wonderful charity that I wanted to do the stream in honor of, and I thought, what better way to end Women's History Month than going through the history of women characters in video games? And you know, it was a fun journey. I really appreciate you guys being on it here with me. It's been 3 hours and 16 minutes, so it was not a short stream. This is one of the longest streams I've ever done, and you know, it means a lot to me. Thank you very much. Please, if you can, take a look in the description of the video. The charity is named MADRE. It's a beautiful charity that helps women all over the world. You know, helps a lot of indigenous peoples all over the world, a lot of indigenous women, women in places that there's not access to a lot of things, a lot of the same rights as maybe women in more in the like U.S. or like Europe would have. It helps protect these women, and it helps you know, helps make better lives for them, and it gives them access to different resources, women health resources, etc. And you know, just living resources, everything. So it's a beautiful charity. Please take a look at the link in the description if you can. Any amount is okay. Just if you could give something, it would be great. You know, so thank you so much for watching, and please donate if you can. And thank you, and you have a wonderful night, and I look forward to streaming again with you guys in the future. Much love.